morning, FlossTube. This is Socks for Mom coming to you today from Denver, where I am staying at my daughter's house and dog sitting. It's a beautiful morning here, and she has a lovely patio back here, and I've enjoyed every morning coming out here and stitching. I can do it till about 10:30 or 11, and then it gets to be a little bit too warm. But welcome to my FlossTube. It's so good to be here. I brought 3 projects with me on this trip, so I have 3 things to show you and to talk to you about. If this is the first time that you are here to my FlossTube, welcome. And if you come back again to listen to me blather on, I sure do appreciate it, and I have really enjoyed getting to know a lot of you. So without further ado, let's get going. I start every morning out here reading with a cup of coffee and listening to some things on my phone, I guess. I was going to say iPod, but that was a long time ago. I've got things on my phone that I listen to, and I work on His Eye is on the Sparrow every morning. So this is my progress. I have all of the border of this page. There are several pages to this design, as you can imagine, because it's huge. I have the peacock done, and this middle flower here needs a Brethren blue border around it. I've got that floss at home. I didn't bring it with me. And I'm working on the crazy cow. This is a very odd looking cow. I heard someone on her podcast say that she thought it was a longhorn cow, but living down in Texas right now, I can tell you I've not seen a longhorn cow like that. But I have switched over to the called for flosses, and the cow is Havana Weeks dye work, and it is the Gentle Arts caramel corn, I believe. So this is what I work on every morning as I listen to my radio programs, and I'm loving it. I really do like it. It's going to take me a very long time. You may recall that my husband called it that thing on the wall. So this is that thing on the wall. It's going to take a very long time until it is hanging on in our house, and he can call it, I love that thing on that wall. He bought me this for my 35th wedding anniversary, which was 2 days ago. He's down in Texas and I'm up here. It's the first time we've ever been apart on an anniversary, and we FaceTimed quite a bit on that day, just reliving memories and stuff. So that is one thing I've been working on, and now I have to go over to the table and get something else. If I seem a tad on the unenergetic side, it's because I'm very tired. I stayed up last night till 2 in the morning thinking something was wrong with my daughter's sprinklers, because over here where the cherry tree is, I've shown you pictures of the cherry tree, the sprinklers were running, and they kept running and running and running, and I kept checking on them. And around 2 in the morning, after I had checked on them for 4 hours, thinking it was stuck on a station, I realized the next door neighbor was watering their yard, and the sprinkler was coming over the fence. So, what can I say? I stayed up too late, I got up too early. But the sprinkler is okay. So, the next thing I want to show you that I'm really enjoying working on is the Plum Street Sampler Heritage Sampler. And I enjoy this on so many levels. And right now I've been working on the Pilgrim or the Puritan section, and I watched a documentary on TV on the Pilgrims. I guess it was on the Mayflower. And I had a few historical differences with some of the narrators, which I'm not surprised about, because we live in the 21st century with a 21st century mindset, and I'm pretty sure some of these people have not immersed themselves into the writings of the Puritans or studied, well, I guess they've studied their linear history. But for years and years I have immersed myself into the devotions and the readings and the writings of the Puritans and the Pilgrims, and they are very dear to my heart. And I did not like how it was portrayed. Some of them were portrayed on this documentary. But that's neither here nor there. We can all have our opinions, right? But it always hurts my heart a little bit when they're painted in a very, very negative light, because these people had been through so many hardships together. They were a very tight-knit group of people. They loved each other to a degree that I'm pretty sure most of us nowadays would not even be able to fathom. And I think that they had that brotherly kind of love where they would have died for one another. So I'm rambling because I'm tired, so I will cut that short. Save that for another day maybe. But here is my progress. I am almost done with the first page. I shortened her nose. For those of you who have stitched this, I've shortened Pilgrim Lady's nose. My friend Vanessa is naming her Constance because she had a relative on the Mayflower, which is pretty incredible. I still need to finish my flag, and I'm kind of have a problem because I've lost the yellow. I can't find it, and I need to finish the "Don't Tread on Me" part, and then do 1/1 in that little square there after I do the lettering. I'm not altogether pleased with this color. I'm using Old Gold, and the color was Ye Old Gold, I think. I'm not sure. I'm not using the called for. And it's very variegated, and I'm not sure I like it that much. But overall, I absolutely love this. I adore every stitch. I'm really enjoying stitching this. And I have 3 pages to go. So that is the Heritage Sampler. And from the likes on Instagram, I think a lot of you love this. And you should go stitch it, because you will enjoy every stitch of it too. So that is Plum Street Samplers. This is the Heritage Sampler. This is George, by the way. I debated it on whether I wanted to do all of the border first, which was my original plan, and then stitch the whole Pilgrim section up here, and then the whole Revolutionary War section there. But then in the end I decided to go page by page. And by the way, check out that Union Jack. It's the first flag that was flown over here. So that's the second thing I brought to work on. and loving every minute of it. This is having problem focusing. The last thing I brought to work on is the round robin that the country samplers, Deb and Liz, are putting on. I left home before I got my package from Liz, and between her sending me stuff, emailing me some of the information about it, and my husband scanning the chart, I did get it, and I have started. I have 3 partners, and we will each stitch in our own colors. I'm really having problems talking. The border, the divisions, and then we will stitch our motif on our square. And I chose the Quaker portrait version. And then we will mail it on to the next person on the list, who will do their motif and keep with our threads. And they will mail it to the next person on the list, who will do their motif in my threads all the way around. That's why it's called a round robin. And I really like this idea. I love the idea of having 3 other ladies stitch their design on my work in my colors. I have a very dear friend who is of Swedish descent, and her great-grandmothers, when they came over to the United States and they settled in Kansas, I believe, 3 sisters or 4 sisters would do a round robin letter, so they wouldn't have to keep all of their sisters updated. What they would do is they would write about their family, and then they would mail that portion of the letter on to the next sister, who would write about what was going on in her life. She would mail it to the next sister, who would tell their story, and by the time it got back to the first sister, they could read what all of each sisters had said. And that's how they did this throughout the years, and I loved that story. So when Liz and Deb started talking about this, I knew I wanted to do it. 2 of the ladies are in Pennsylvania, and I'm looking forward to talking to them more. And my 3rd lady is Liz. And Liz and I have communicated a lot through email. She's been a great encouragement to me with some of the spinal issues I've gone through, because she's gone through even worse. And so I think our hearts bonded really fast. So she's my other partner. So here is, I've got the first border, the first division. And like I said, this will go across here and continued right there and on up here. Then I will stitch my motif right here and pass it on. I didn't bring my colors, so I want you to hold on. I'll be right back. Actually, I'm going to step away from the screen. Be right back. Sorry about that. Sometimes it's easier to do that than to stop the camera and start again. Here are my colors. Put something up behind this. These are all DMC colors. They're all DMC colors. They're really clashing against my pink. with the exception of this right here. And I decided that this one color, 612, was blending in too much with my fabric, so I threw in some caramel corn right there. So that's the only one that's not fancy floss. So Country Stitchers Round Robin 2018. It's going to be great fun. So I will show you the progress as we go along, and you can see. The last thing I want to show you today, those are my 3 things I've been working on. The last thing I would like to show you is I did a little bit of playing in the dye pot. And I found an incredible shop that I'll talk to you about in a minute. And I found the called for color of fabric, Pear by Lakeside Linens, for the 'Tis the Season Cardinal Stitch Along that starts Labor Day. And I saw it, and I kind of wanted to play around in the dye pots, see if I could create the same color. Before I show you that though, I'll show you my more successful dyeing. So I started with, I don't know if you can hear those dogs. They're really barking at each other. I started with taupe, tan, and lemon yellow. And I used a formula on the RIT site, mixing it. And I will have to tell you, my hat is off to those of all of those dyers who can pretty much pull off the same color lot. One thing I did learn though when I went to the shop this week, I was looking for mocha, I think, for my Round Robin by Weeks Dye Work, and they pulled out 3 mochas, all Lakeside Linen, and all 3 of them looked very, very different. And it was eye-opening to me, because I do all of my ordering online. I do not have a local stitch store anywhere close to me. And it was eye-opening to me, and I had already had an eye-opening experience because my Quaker handiwork that I was working on, I'm not really happy with it because my colors are not what a lot of the other people's colors are. I did not like the espresso at all. And my mulberry is very, very variegated, and it's not what I had envisioned, let's just say that. And when I was talking to one of the gals at the shop, she said that's very much true when you do any kind of over dyeing, which I should mention, by the way, the name of my Round Robin group that Liz named us, we're called the Overdyes. So it's very appropriate that I've learned this lesson, because when I went to look for that fabric, I'm going to pop in a picture right here, a picture of these mochas that are all different colors. I had a lesson that what you get in the mail may not necessarily be what the designer stitched hers on. Even though she lists the colors, it still may be different. So I was very surprised, because the mocha that they showed me didn't look anything like the picture on the front of the pattern that I was using as a source. anyways, so I'm not the least bit surprised that when I used a formula on the Ritz site, I came up with 3 different colors. I started with Ada, and this one's a little bit green. You can see all 3 of them are different. Now I love all 3 of these, and I will probably stitch smalls on them because it's Ada, and I like to stitch bigger projects on linen. Here comes a siren. I'm in the city, folks. I'm not used to being in the city. Okay, so I started with this as my, just playing around with it before I used my linen. So I have to wait for it to go by. Okay, and then I did my linen, and I came out with this, and I really love this color. Really love it. I'm very pleased with it. So this is the 32 count, and I have a project in mind, but I'm not going to talk about it on this podcast. So then I went to try to do the cedar green for the 'Tis the Season, and most of you who are participating know what that looks like by now. It's Pear by Lakeside Linens. When I saw it in the shop, I was shocked because it was very bright. And then they had a vintage pear, which was more subdued, and I liked that better. I've ordered the silk from Nancy, Victorian Motto, and I'm excited about getting that in. And I will toss that onto the linen when I get it, and maybe change my mind about it. But here is my version of pear. It's pretty. I like it. I want it a little bit more subdued, so I think I'm going to, after I dyed it, it was very, very bright. I used apple green and taupe, and it was brighter than I wanted. I left it in longer than I should have. And I've tried twice to just over dye it with just straight taupe, and it's a little bit darker, but not quite where I want it to be. And I think I might get some dark chocolate and play with that a little bit. Maybe model it a little bit, I'm not sure. But I'm also kind of leaning towards using Lakeside Linen, I think. Dapple? No, picture this plus. Because when you see the picture on the Blackbird book, it looks like it's stitched on a silver. It does not look like it's stitched on green by any means. But I'm finding out that photography does a lot. Changing the pictures. I think I want to be a photographer. I think I want to be a cross-stitch photographer. Wouldn't that be fun? Okay, folks. Well, I think that's all I have for you. Like I said, I only just brought 3 things. I am having a meetup next week with one of the viewers of Socks for Mom podcast, which I'm really looking forward to. when she found out that I was in Denver, she gave me a big hello, and I asked her if she wanted to get together, and she said yeah. So I am looking forward to that. Let me see what else is going on. My daughter is leaving tomorrow at midnight. She's flying to Iceland. She's going with a friend. She has a group of friends that when they turn 30, they go on trips together. Well, they go on trips together all the time, as you know, because I'm always here dog sitting. But she's going with a friend who just turned 30 years old, and they're going to Iceland for a few days. And I will be taking her car to the airport next week and leaving it there because I'm flying out and she's flying in a few hours after me. So we will not see each other. Tomorrow will be our last day. So it's been a lot of fun. Last weekend she went to see my other daughter, her sister, and they had a really good sister weekend. And I was here watching the dog, and she's been working in between those two weekends. And I had a big mommy proud moment because she was awarded the Daisy Award as a pediatric nurse. It's a worldwide recognition. And her manager and some of her friends kind of plotted together to schedule this when I was here so I could be part of that. So they snuck me into the ceremony, and it's quite an honor. It was started by a family that lost their son, and they wanted to honor nurses who took care of him, because these pediatric nurses at a children's hospital, they're pretty special ladies. So my daughter was nominated by her peers who wrote essays about her and gave specific instances, recalled those where they thought she exemplified being a nurse. So I was really proud of her. There was not a dry tear in the whole audience as these letters were read about her. So I'm really proud of her. She has always had a tender heart, always cared about people. And anyways, that's my proud mama's moment. So other than that, that's all the news I have for you. And I hope this works. I'm in a different setting, on a different camera. You guys take care, and I will talk to you when I'm back home. Bye.